Human existence is not a singular physical event. It is a multi-layered expression comprised of three distinct operational frameworks, or shariras, which house individual consciousness and dictate its experience of reality. The physical body, Sthula Sharira. The physical body is the densest layer of manifestation. It's formed directly from the five gross material elements: earth, solid matter; water, fluids; fire, metabolic heat; air, gaseous exchanges; and ether, the space the body occupies. Function. It serves as the tangible instrument required to perceive, navigate, and interact with the waking material universe. It is the outer shell subject to birth, growth, decay, and death. The subtle body, Sukshma Sharira. The subtle body is the invisible psychological and energetic engine running just beneath the physical skin. It consists of the vital life force, prana, the five senses of perception, the five organs of action, and the internal mental machinery. It processes thoughts, holds desires, and experiences emotions. This is the specific vehicle that remains active during dreams and travels beyond the physical frame during advanced meditation or the transition of death. The causal body, Karana Sharira. The causal body is the deepest, most hidden non-physical layer of our existence. It is called causal because it acts as the direct cause and foundation for the other two bodies. It is completely devoid of thoughts or physical structure, operating instead as a highly compressed cosmic seed file. It serves as the absolute storehouse for all your latent behavioral tendencies, vasanas, and your entire history of unresolved karmic impressions, samskaras. You experience this body directly every night when you enter the blank, undisturbed, and peaceful state of deep, dreamless sleep. In Eastern metaphysics, the material universe does not arise by accident. Reality follows a precise downward crystallization process where infinite, formless consciousness systematically limits itself to become dense matter. Step 1. The core veil. Pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman, is absolute, undivided knowledge. Manifestation begins when a structural cloud of cosmic ignorance, Avidya or Maya, veils this infinite reality. This initial cloud creates the illusion that you are a separate individual rather than part of the whole universal consciousness. Step 2. The seed state. This fundamental state of not knowing forces consciousness into a concentrated, individualized blueprint, the causal body. This layer holds the raw, unmanifest karmic potential of who you will become. The psychological engine. To live out and experience its unfulfilled desires, the causal seed projects outward, creating the energetic and psychological networks of the subtle body. It sets up your personal mind, ego, and intellect. Physical hardening. Finally, the subtle body densifies and hardens into the flesh, bones, and sensory organs of the physical body. This allows the soul to touch, taste, and navigate the material plane, completing the journey from the formless to the formed. The subtle body operates entirely through a four-part mental system known as the antakarana, the inner instrument. By itself, this mental engine is made of inert, subtle elements and has no life. It only appears to be alive because it is continuously lit up by the power of consciousness. 1. Manas, the sensory and emotional mind. It is the chaotic outer gateway of the mind. It constantly collects raw data from your five physical senses and processes basic emotional reactions. It is naturally unstable, constantly vacillating, and filled with doubts. It handles the initial reflex of preference. What is that sound? I like this flavor. I dislike that smell. Should I do this or should I do that? 2. Chitta. It is the deep mental reservoir sitting in the basement of your awareness. It stores every single memory, trauma, childhood habit, and past karmic impression, samskaras. When an external event triggers an immediate emotional flashback, it is the chitta automatically pulling that ancient file from the archives. 3. Buddhi. It is the higher analytical mind, standing above raw sensory data and emotions. It judges, reasons, discriminates truth from illusion, and makes final executive decisions. While the manas impulsively cries, "I want to eat that unhealthy food," the buddhi steps in, analyzes the consequences, and declares, "No, it is bad for your health. Do not eat it." 4. Ahamkara. It is the identity function that glues a personal I onto everything you experience. It takes the data from the other three components and claims personal ownership over it. It states, "I am experiencing this pain. This is my memory," or "I am a highly intelligent person." To track how the individual soul gets lost and eventually wakes up, Eastern philosophy defines a crucial functional mechanism that explains how pure spirit interacts with a material mind. The mirror analogy. The four-part mind, antakarana, is naturally dark and cold matter. It has no independent awareness. However, when the intrinsic light of pure consciousness, chit, strikes the clean glass mirror of the mind, it produces a bright, localized reflection. This borrowed reflection of light is called Chidabhasa. The outward search. Bound to a conditioned mind, Chidabhasa immediately mistakes the mirror for its true self. It looks outward into the world through the senses, genuinely believing, "I am a small, vulnerable, and separate person." This creates the individual seeker who spends lifetimes chasing money, relationships, and worldly security to cure its inner feeling of incompleteness. The inward turning. Eventually, through the pain of suffering and the awakening of the buddhi, higher intellect, the seeker realizes that external objects cannot provide lasting peace. The mind stops looking outward at the world. It turns its focus entirely backward and asks, "Where is this light coming from? Who am I?" Tracing the beam of light away from the world and back to the source, the reflection dissolves its egoic pride. It achieves the ultimate breakthrough, realizing that what it was seeking across lifetimes was the seeker itself. Consciousness and energy are not two separate forces fighting for control of the cosmos. They are the static and dynamic aspects of a single, indivisible supreme reality. Shiva, the unmoving witness. Shiva represents the Sakshi, the witness consciousness. He is the boundless, silent, unchanging ocean of pure awareness. Shiva does not act, modify, or change anything. He is the mirror that reflects the movie of life without being altered by the plot. He provides the foundational light that makes existence possible. Shakti, the cosmic wave. Shakti represents the dynamic principle. She is the wave on the ocean. She is consciousness in motion, driven by absolute free will. A Shakti vibrates into action. Spanda. She builds the mind, coordinates human conditioning, and materializes into the physical universe. Spiritual realization maps out 5 specific states of human awareness, shifting from complete ignorance to permanent cosmic liberation. 1. Deep sleep, sushupti. The mental engine is completely shut down by heavy darkness and inertia, tamas. It is an unconscious, objectless blankness. The personal ego is temporarily resting, but its mountain of karmic conditioning remains fully intact in the seed state of the causal body, waiting to pull the soul back into the world upon waking. 2. Kaivalya Samadhi, isolated stillness. Energy is consciously withdrawn from the senses, pratyahara, and the mind is completely dissolved into pure, transparent clarity, sattva. This is a state of superconscious, objectless isolation. Shiva closes his eyes and pulls his light out of the mental mirror. The causal and subtle bodies are structurally fried, but the physical body is held completely motionless on autopilot. It is a state of absolute, blank, inner light. 3. Sahaja Samadhi, natural integration. The internal energy field, Kundalini, fully awakens, climbs the spine, shatters the 3 egoic knots, granthis, and plugs back into the crown of the head. This is Samadhi in action. The master opens their eyes, walks down busy streets, and talks to people. The mind is recognized as a divine wave of the ocean. The master clearly perceives the chaotic movement of the world, Shakti, while remaining fully anchored in the immovable stillness of the witness, Shiva. A physical body is structurally required to express this state. 4. Turiya, the all-pervading backdrop. Turiya is not a temporary meditative state that you enter or exit. It is the continuous, unchanging background screen of reality. It is the underlying awareness that allows your three daily states, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, to exist. It is completely inclusive. It recognizes that both the silence of the mountain and the noise of the traffic are nothing but consciousness itself in motion. 5. Vidyahamukti Parinirvana, final dissolution. The physical body's remaining momentum, prarabdha karma, runs out and hits absolute zero. The internal state. The physical container collapses and returns to the dust. Because the subtle and causal root bodies were already destroyed during awakening, the remaining boundaries drop permanently. The individual wave flattens completely into the boundless sea. There is no longer a localized master or a separate soul, only infinite reality. A massive logical hurdle arises when we attempt to analyze the finality of spiritual liberation against the rigid rules of mathematical infinity. The paradox. If individual souls are parts of an infinite cosmos, you can subtract an infinite number of awakened souls from that pool forever, and you will still be left with an infinite number of ignorant souls. Therefore, a universal end of time where all cosmic ignorance drops to absolute zero is a mathematical impossibility. If the field of ignorance is infinite, what stops it from swallowing an awakened soul back into a loop? The relative view. This school accepts that there are infinite individual souls. The cosmic factory, Shakti Maya, is an eternal engine that will keep running movies and playing tragedies infinitely for new audiences. However, your personal package of mind and conditioning is strictly finite. When you awaken, your personal contract with the illusion is canceled. You subtract your finite drop of darkness from the infinite total. The universe keeps running its playground for others, but your private experience of the machine terminates permanently. A relapse loop is impossible because the mental hardware required to hold ignorance has been burned to ash. The absolute view. This radical core of Advaita Vedanta solves the paradox by stating that there are no infinite individual souls to begin with. There is only one single consciousness dreaming a vast, multi-character dream. Think of your night dreams. Your single mind creates a busy city filled with thousands of ignorant and wise people. When you wake up in your bed the next morning, you do not look at your pillow and worry about the thousands of ignorant characters left behind in your dream. You laugh because you realize they never existed. Enlightenment is the moment the single dreamer wakes up and the entire calculation of infinite separate souls vanishes. At the absolute summit of non-dual realization, we arrive at the unshakable truth. Anything unconscious is fundamentally a dream, an illusion, and a phantom. In the relative world, the four-part mind searches outward, energy activates the body, and the loop of karma spins infinitely. But the exact microsecond you wake up in the absolute world, you realize that the separation, the individual reflection, Chidabhasa, and the spiritual journey itself were a total mirage. There was never a separate drop that had to fight and travel to find the ocean. There was only the undivided, eternally awake, and limitlessly blissful ocean of pure consciousness, dreaming it was a drop. The clay pot is smashed, the false boundaries have vanished, and only the infinite remains.